Hello ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the old family farm here in Farming Simulator 19 with myself, CWATTYESO, and of course the farmer we are following, the farmer who is making very good progress on her very first ever farm. She's getting to grips with things very well, and that is of course Delores Flofflebotham. Now I have managed to, I have ploughed this field, the new field that we discovered. I have resized it, made it a good size. I took out some trees off of camera, did a bit of terraforming, hence why we've got a bit of a cliffside here. The floating tree we will say less about. The less said about that, I suppose, the better, really, the floating tree. If it gets a bit too distracting during videos, I may cut it down. Or try and find some way to cut it down. If it's possible. If not, I will open up the map in the editor and just delete it. I suppose that works. That could be the easiest way of doing it, I suppose. But yeah, we've got a field and it's lime spread. So we're ready. We're ready to do a day of seeding, planting. So let's have a look. What we've got crop-wise, right. We've got 8 hours on most of the stuff. Oats have got 11 hours. Barley's 8 hours, canola's 7 hours, wheat 8 hours. All our typical crops, soybeans 8 hours, canola 7 hours. So yeah, we've got good growth stage. The weeds are out at 62 hours. We're not worried too much about those. So we're going to do a spot of planting. The chickens are doing all right. 1,871. They don't need feeding just yet. The horses are coming along nicely as well. The 8 of those. So we're doing well. We are doing very well. So I'm going to hop in here. Use our fantastic John Deere. This is rapidly becoming the workhorse of the farm now. Now we got rid of the case. Right, so I said we was going to plant. Now we've got basically 5 fields. Going to plant 5 crop types. So I'm going to start over here with a little bit of barley on the new field. Right. Can I load a course, please? I can! And it's truly magical. The trouble with that is, we do need to auto-width it again. And we do need to just shift the course. There we go. I do love the GPS mod. GPS mod makes things a lot better. Right, I'm going to switch to the new planter. So this is our new stroke seeder planter. And this is the one I modified myself. Just so everybody knows, I modified it and made it. I don't consider it GT because it does cost more than the standard planter on its own. It just, instead of only doing sunflower, corn, what was it, sugar beet, cotton, and soybeans, it does the normal crops, and I've got rid of the sugar beet and stuff because we don't do that. So we're going to plant barley for the first time on this field. Like I say, this field would be great for grass. Originally it was just wild grass. I didn't even realise it was a field until I accidentally cultivated on it as I was doing the new field over there, the enlarged and expanded field 6 and 7. So yeah, that was a little bit disappointing. But yeah, we don't have a mower at the minute, so leaving it as grass was a bit not really an option for me. After discovering that it was a field, I figured I might as well put it into actual production until we reach the point where we do have access to a mower, or can utilise a mower on our farm, and then we'll get into a few other things. I'd like to add maybe pigs next. Pigs is something I could add quite quickly to the farm, I think. I'd also like to get the cow pen into action, buy a few cows. We wouldn't probably be able to do a great deal when it comes to production with cows, because we don't have silage and we don't have TMR. Again, that is something that we could look into. I mean, silage bales, I could always buy silage bales to mix up TMR if we was trying to go for the 100% production. I don't think Delores really needs it. If she's going to add cows to the farm, they're more likely going to be pets than commodities. I mean, we've got the horses. Horses are a big thing for us, and obviously the chickens producing the eggs like they do is a big thing for us. So again, all the barley sowed. Field 6 and 7 over there will be soybeans, because it's the biggest field. Field 3 behind us will be wheat, because it's the next sort of biggest field. Field 5 will be canola, and field 2 will be oats. There we go. And like I said in the last video, what I'm going to try and do is keep a track of the harvests, so I know how many times I've planted and harvested on a field, because when I'm at that stage where I know for a fact that after the next harvest the fields are going to want planting and lime spreading, it's at that point I will put onto the fields corn and sunflowers, because after you've planted corn and sunflowers you need to harvest, you need to plough and lime anyway. So I might as well do it when we're actually at that stage where we're going to need to do it. If I do it now, like if I was to plant corn and sunflowers now, it just means I'm making more work for myself, because we've only just ploughed and lime spread. So I would be doing it again far too soon, if you like. And I don't really want to do that. Now, I'm hoping I've left sufficient space around this area to be able to drive on and off the field. Like I say, long term, once I've bought some of the other fields, this field will go back to being grass, so it's not going to be an issue as far as moving and turning and correctly aligning vehicles and stuff. But right now, whilst I'm planting regular crops, I hope I've left enough sufficient room at the end there to be able to drive off without crashing into that newly created cliffside. And I like the fact the weeds have popped up, but we're not going to worry too much about that, because they're going to get cultivated in, because this obviously cultivates and seeds directly, which is why I've not had to power harrow this field after lime spreading it. So it does save us a little bit of time. Again, if people think the fact that this cultivates prior and seeds is a little bit maybe overpowered, then it's something I could probably go back and look at the mod and figure out how to disable that, so it's just a seeder again, or it's just a seeder. Which means I would then still have to do the whole power harrow prior to planting thing. I mean, I'm still going to power harrow and cultivate anyway. It's not going to change that aspect of the series. We're still, you know, in that mindset. It's just that obviously for Delores, there is the option, should she ever need it, where we can skip the power harrowing and just use this. But I very rarely will do that. I think I'll stick to doing how we've operated thus far, in that we will do the power harrow, the proper cultivating, if you like. Because one of the things I want to test and to see if it works, after the next harvest, what I plan to do is come and spread fertiliser on the fields straight after the harvest. I then want to cultivate the field, and then I want to seed. And I want to see, like, because with this seeder it does the fertiliser at the same time, whether we get the two-stage fertilisation at that point, or whether I'm still kind of having to come round and do the how should I put it, right, I'm going to do, what did I say I was going to do? It was canola, wasn't it, on field 5? There we are. The other fields I'm going to work north to south. I've decided just that one was probably going to be a little bit easier to work. Oh look, weeds. Ha! Great. Gonna have to get the Fiat out with the mechanical seeder. Gonna plant canola. Which is gonna be cool. Like I say, we're gonna get a lot more now off of this field. Because we've basically doubled this field in size by extending it quite close to the horses over there. And I never did work out what happened to my bales, my hay bales. I could have sworn I had 2 left, but they've disappeared. I don't know whether they do naturally despawn and wear after a few days if you have too many. I certainly don't recall feeding them to the horses, but it would appear that my hay bales disappeared. I could have sworn I had a few left. I'm sure I had 2. I meant to go back and have a quick look at some of the other videos just to check. Definitely, I could have sworn I had a couple of spare bales. something I'll again have to keep my eye on. If that is the case, that bales do disappear after a period of time, it could affect how many I buy in one go. And something else I discovered was playing off camera. Not playing off camera. I was actually on my PlayStation 4 yesterday evening through the night, playing a bit to try and get a few achievements on that. And I actually discovered that the wheel loaders with this black sheep modding pallet bale fork thing work really well for moving bales. For just shifting bales into like feeding pens and stuff like that. A wheel loader works really well. Better than the front loader, a lot more stable. Probably doesn't have the reach of, say, the telehandler. So if you're trying to put bales into a mixing wagon, for example, the wheel loader does seem to have a little bit of an issue because it doesn't have the reach. It doesn't have like the telescopic extension thing of a telehandler. But it really depends how you kind of want to do things. I was having a bit of a play to see. One of the things I was wondering about was whether or not I could put, you know, if you rocked up at your hayloft with a bale of grass, would it suck up the bale of grass and then you'd get loose grass out of the hayloft? The game doesn't work like that, unfortunately. There's no way of converting bales to loose material unless I found you put it in a mixing wagon. If you just put, and what I did, I put all straw. I put basically four straw bales in the mixing wagon in the game, and got 16,000 litres of straw in there. I was then able to unload that as loose straw, but it did mean I had to load the bales one at a time into the loading wagon, into the mixing wagon. Because obviously for things like the pigs and the cows, they need straw for bed, and the horses, they need loose straw for bedding. You can't put bales into the trigger point and have it converted into like straw on the ground in their pens. So I was trying to find a way to get loose straw out of bales, and I didn't want to use those like machines. There are machines in the game that you can put bales into, which then kind of blow straw into the animal pens. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to use one of them. So a loading wagon, I can drop pallets of hay into it, bales of hay into the mixing wagon, and get loose hay out. I think I can do it with silage as well. I'm sure if I drop silage bales into the mixing wagon, I would get this is where it goes a bit janky, because we're obviously not quite seeding on the field anymore. There's a little bit of wasted seed and fertiliser here. Well, I've kind of expanded the field a little bit and not given myself a full vehicle's width. I could probably get a full vehicle's width looking if I took a bit more of this grass section out, extended the fields up to the right up to the road. But that does look a little bit ungainly. Right, we are going to shift course now. We're going to go north-south now. And we're going to go back to auto width because we want 5.4. And we just need to shift that only a touch, not a massive amount. Right, on this field we was going to plant... What was we going to plant on here? Oats, weren't we? I'll switch the vehicle off first. And when I'd made this mod, I made sure I put the crops in order as you cycle through them. So you get all the grass type crops first, then you get the planting crops. I've noticed with a couple of the kind of giants vanilla vehicles and equipment, you get a bit of a mixture. It kind of gets a bit mixed up, like it will go wheat, barley, sunflowers to potatoes, and then it will go canola, and then it will go corn, and then it will go sugar beet or something, and then it will go oats. It's a little bit weird. So I tried to put everything in order when I made the mod. So as I'm cycling through, I get all the grass types first, and then I get into the corn, sunflowers, and I think that's it. I think we have cotton, but again, the only reason I added cotton to the seeder stroke planter was because I had to. If I didn't, for some reason it just didn't work. When I loaded the game, it caused errors in the log file, so I had to add cotton as one of the fruit types. But as I say, we don't plan on doing cotton on this map because it's too small, and the cotton machines are far too expensive. Even to lease it to do like a day's harvest would be ridiculous. I tell you what, these weeds are going to annoy me. They're going to annoy me very quickly. I mean, it's not going to be too bad. We're going to get little bits pop up here and there. Some of these will obviously get taken out as I continue doing the seeding stroke planting. But it is annoying. And I could have sworn when I checked the growth control thing, it was 60 odd hours until the next weed stage. So I don't know why the weeds are appearing, because they were supposed to be 60 plus hours away. You know, which in game terms is a couple of days. It's over 2 days. It's sort of 2.5 days, isn't it? Before the weeds popped up, which effectively gives me a chance of planting and harvesting without having to worry about the weeds. So again, we get the oats sorted out, and then the horses are well catered for. I say we do the rest of the crops then as and again, much like in the previous harvest, I'll see how much we get per field and work out basically then how much crop or what crops to sell after we've harvested. I think that worked really well last time, seeing what we actually got total when we did the corn and sunflowers, and then deciding how many trailer loads to take and sell and how many to keep. That worked really well, and I think I'm going to apply that same sort of philosophy stroke strategy to all the other crop harvests from now on. Basically, if we don't harvest a lot, we don't get a big yield off the field, then obviously we won't sell it. It will go in the silo, and it can be used down the road for local production, local things like feeding animals and stuff. If we do get a couple of trailer loads of a crop in a single harvest, then obviously we can sell a couple. We'll always keep a little bit back for our own use, but we can sell a bit. But already I'm kind of sensing that the horses are still going to be the big money maker for us. I know it takes 10 days to reap the rewards of the horses, but they are kind of important. It almost gets to the stage where, like in my Estancia series, when I had 2 horse pens, that basically you didn't really need to sell crops anymore, did you? Because the horses were giving you over 500 grand. Each horse pen was giving you, you know, quite a bit. You know, nearly over $500,000 every 10 days. Bloody weeds. It's annoying. I will check the growth control cycle thingy. Once I've done this, might have just... No, it did drop in time. That is one thing I've got to just be a little bit cautious of course, when we are planting, is to make sure we don't drop the we don't take off like a loon with the vehicle. Wait for it to be seeding. Just hop out quickly, right. What I'm going to do, I'm going to check that. Yeah, 59 hours. So why did the weeds appear? I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Because I'm probably going to ask about that on the mod page, because if they're not supposed to appear for 59 hours, why are they appearing? I don't know. Right, we've got 374 litres of seed left, 529 litres of... got a full pallet next to the chickens. We've got pallets of lime. Lime. I think this is dry fertiliser. Yeah. I don't think I've got any pallets of seed over here. That's unfortunate. Means I may possibly need to do a run to the store at some point. Right, we want wheat next. To do field 3 here. Those line up. And off we go. At least we don't have to bother worrying about the weeds on this field, because we're just going to cultivate them in as we're seeding. But I'm going to have to go and do the other fields. Is a little bit interesting. Yeah, there's probably 2 trees there looking at that that little bit of a cliff edge that probably could have done with coming out when I was doing the excuse me, doing the landscaping. Trouble was, I took the trees out before I started doing the landscaping, so I wasn't really sure how far I was going to go with either the field, the ploughing and stuff. It was all a bit of a guess. And I ended up probably not taking enough trees off of that area. It was difficult because as I started to terraform, I started running into some errors of, you know, the terrain here cannot be deformed and stuff like that, which means I must be close to the edge of the map. I'm running up against some boundary that the mod author has instilled, which is kind of why I ended up doing that as like a bit of a cliff edge, a bit of a rocky, painted a rocky texture on it, because it wouldn't actually let me sort of smooth it and flatten it out and make like a normal sort of hillside. So I ended up doing it as stone, because I couldn't get the horrible straight edges out of it. That's something to look at. Just kind of just break up the wall of green. There's a little bit there, look, that came with the map, and that was my attempt to sort of simulate it and recreate it. It's not perfect, definitely not. I don't think you actually get the same texture in the palette. I couldn't find that rock texture in the painting system. So I think it uses the default texture palette from whichever map this is built on, whichever map base it's built on. Whether it, I assume it's probably Ravenport, I would think. Yeah, there's definitely argument to say two more trees should have been removed over there. It does tend to catch your eye a bit, doesn't it? So we'll get the crops planted, which won't be too much of a problem. Should be done fairly quickly, fairly easily. So get soybeans on the field 6 and 7. Then we've got lots of options. Like I say, I need to come back then with the weeder or the herbicide sprayer and get the weeds taken care of. So I don't know whether Giants have any plans to fix the weed situation in the game at any time. I'm not aware of any changes to the weeds in their beta patch that they've got out, which I'm not using. I'm not using the 1.3 beta. I'm waiting for it to actually, you know, the actual proper update to come out before I update the game. Whether they're making any tweaks or fixes to any of the stuff in this. Definitely seems weird if the weeds weren't supposed to show up for 60 hours, why they're now appearing. Or do they always just appear if you've cultivated a field? Is it like some kind of in-game setting where as soon as you cultivate, it triggers weeds to grow? Because that was one thing I did notice on the Estancia series. If I cultivated a field, the weeds would grow straight away. And then if I seeded and seeded, then they would show up again after I'd finished seeding. Which is one of the reasons why I ended up turning the weeds off on that series, because it was like, I'm fed up of dealing with weeds in, you know... There didn't seem to be any logical time reason or time behind it. That was the thing that annoyed me. Because like if I cultivated a field, the weeds would appear. If I went straight over it then with the seeder planter, or I did the mechanical weeder to remove the weeds, and then went and did... They would appear again after I finished seeding. It's like, they shouldn't grow that fast. You know? That was like within a couple of in-game hours. Ridiculous speed. Just hope that field, like I say, and the way the weeds spread over fields is a little bit, like I say, I've always had issues with the way they spread, the way they slowly creep down the field. I wish when they hit a field, they would just appear in one, you know, block, boom, the whole field, and then you could get on to weeding it. I may not have enough seed to finish this field. That's a bit worrying. I've probably got another, yeah, just slightly over 2 strips lot to do. And I'm not going to have enough seed. I'm going to have to go to the store and get another pallet of seed. Possibly. Definitely. Right. Pallet of seed then. You know what? Let's phone the order through. Make sure they're ready for us. It's a bit weird because I'm currently playing the game with a Macon compact PS4 controller here on my PC, and obviously having spent last night playing on the actual PS4, I tried to open the shop menu then by pressing the touchpad in the middle of the controller. Doesn't work. It doesn't actually function as a button on the PC. We'll finish this field off, get rid of this little strip of weeds. This field then is seeded and planted. Fertilised. Right, it's JD. And then lastly we're going to go for soybeans, won't we, on the big field. weeds growing in like they have are flipping annoying. We'll need to shift this track over a bit to make sure I get the edge of the field. There we go. Let's have a quick look again. What we're planting, it's going to be soybeans, isn't it? 4 hours to the next growth cycle. We'll let the weeds grow in a bit. Maybe I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone then. Let's go get the mechanical weeder while we're in this initial growth stage. We can save a bit on herbicide then. I'm basically just going to do that new field, our newly discovered, newly created field. I'm going to weed that. Which will give that field a chance to grow the weeds the rest of the way. And then what I can do, I can take out the weeds with the cultivator. As we are seeding. There we go. All the weeds done there. Spin around. Zoom out a bit, just so I can make sure we've got a proper overlap going. And there we are. JD again, as they say in the trade. Need to do a slightly better job of overlapping. We started to get a little bit narrow towards the edge of that. I should put the mini map on when I'm doing field work, and then I can use the coordinates and the compass bearing to check that I'm actually travelling in a straight line. For vehicles that don't have the GPS guidance steering option, like the old Fiat here doesn't. I just need to go this way a bit, otherwise I'm going to miss some weeds. There we go. Folder up. Like I say, that field's going to get the weeds done when we plant it, so I'm not worried about the weeds on that field. Field 2 is going to be a problem. definitely. And field 5 probably hasn't got the weeds growing on it yet, or if they are growing, they're only just beginning to grow. I think this field works better if I work north to south. Maybe do this, take out this strip, and then work east to west maybe? Bit. Again, make sure we've got a bit of an overlap. Plenty of room to work. Might as well carry on doing north to south actually. Doesn't make much sense to do it any other way. Excuse me. Give this last bit of done. Done. That's all the weeds done. Right, what we'll do then, I'll position this over here ready because we're obviously going to need to do this field. But I want to get back to seeding before I get caught out by that growth cycle change on the soybeans, because they are going to grow soon. I think we said I need that So yeah, soybeans 4 hours. Right. So effectively I've got 4 hours to do the finish the soybean harvest. Which I'm probably going to do off of camera. Still not fully weeded in, which is unfortunate. I could rotate the course and work east to west, just to give that a chance to grow in. But like I say, I'm going to continue, get this planted off of camera, and when we bring you guys back, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing in the next video, because obviously we'll be waiting for this lot to grow before we can fertilise it. So we may have a look at some of the other animals, getting maybe some cows put in, maybe. That's something to consider. Anyway, I thank you for watching the video. As always, you've been a spectacular audience. I hope you'll go ahead and click the like button on the video. That will be a great help to me and also to Delores to support her. Please leave any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, anything at all you want to say about the series in the section down below. And if you're not already doing so, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I will be back with some more video content very soon. But for now, from me, goodbye.